Hello. For those of you who have joined us live, happy Tuesday. And for those who are watching back on demand, it's great to have you with us. I'm Jo Henderson. I'm a member of the marketing team, and I'm here today with LinkedIn and Dux-Soup expert extraordinaire, Giles Garnett. Hi.
Hello.
That's an intro.
Wow.
Yeah, wow, hey. We're here today to share the delights of data capture and how Dux-Soup can help you to focus your lead gen activities and extract the data you need when you need it. But before we get cracking on the main event, I wanted to share 3 exciting updates with you all. Firstly, our 10th birthday is looming, so keep a lookout on socials for some giveaway announcements, which will be starting hopefully next week. Secondly, this time next month, and if I just push this slide along, hopefully you will all see, this time next month we will be at the Excel in London for the B2B Marketing Live event. So we'll be on hand to talk all things Dux-Soup, so please come and see us. We'll be on stand E50 for those of you who are really listening. But better still, why don't you ping Giles or myself a note on LinkedIn, because it would be lovely to actually meet some of our attendees in person. And finally, on December the 4th, we're holding a Teams focused webinar. It's quite a big event that we're kind of hosting. So we're going to be addressing how B2B teams scale growth with LinkedIn automation. We're going to be covering how to align your whole team's LinkedIn strategy, target your prospects to get your message in front of the right decision makers. We'll be looking at how to prevent duplicate targeting, so you're not spamming everyone with the same campaign over and over. And we're going to be looking at how you can use proven strategies to convert more deals. So that is going to be focused towards teams. And somewhere on your page, I think on the left, is a little button you can use to sign up to that. So to bring you back to today's session, let's get back in the room. It's time for me to answer a few of your questions, and I'm going to predict them before you ask them today. Giles, do you want to predict any questions? What do you think we might get asked?
Maybe what's your favourite cheese?
I'll save that one for later. I was thinking more along the lines of, are you recording today's session? Yes, we are recording today's session. And you'll be sent an email tomorrow with the link in so that you can watch it back. Another question I think will be asked is the free trial really free? Yes, it is. If you've not used Dux-Soup before, then you'll see there's a free trial button on your screen. We don't even ask for your payment details, so it genuinely is free. We just ask that you stick with it for 2 weeks, because that is how long we think you'll need before you get totally hooked on it. And the other one is, can I ask questions? And yes, you can. Please ask away. I sort of beaver away in the background and try and stay quiet while Giles is doing his thing. So I answer as many of the questions as I can, but I always save the tough ones for Giles at the end so that we can really test his knowledge. So yes, do ask your questions. There's a Q&A box there. Keith, have you started? Yes, we've started. Come on. Right. Enough of me babbling. I know you all.
Can I add one thing, Jo?
Yes, please do.
If you're a former user of Dux-Soup and you're maybe coming back and having another look, ping us a message and we can extend your trial again. So yeah, if you have used your trial once and maybe that was a while ago and you want to try it again because things have changed, just send us a message, either myself, Jo, the support team, whoever, and we can facilitate that as well.
Fabulous. Yes, nice one. All right then. Enough from me. I will stop babbling, I promise, and I'll see you on the other side.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you. Hello. Good morning. Good afternoon, or indeed good evening to you, wherever you may be in the world. And thank you once again for joining us in today's Dux-Soup webinar. It's been a while since I presented one of these, so I'm still trying to remember how to use this platform. So please excuse me if I do get a little bit lost. Thank you, Jo. I'm going to just move the slides for me. Yeah, for anybody who's new, my name is Giles. I'm head of professional services here at Dux-Soup, and you've just heard from Jo, one of our fabulous marketing team. So today in our webinar, we are going to explore the world of data and what you can do with the data that Dux-Soup can present you with. Now, do bear in mind that there are almost endless possibilities when it comes to handling lead gen data. But what I'm going to endeavor to do today is to provide you with some sort of tidbits, ideas, and maybe a couple of real life examples as to what you could do depending on your circumstances and requirements. What I'm also going to try and do is leave lots of time for questions at the end, so that if you do have some specific questions, some very specific areas that you're interested in, you've got time to ask those questions and we can hopefully give you some valuable insights. Yeah. Now, all paid versions of Dux-Soup, that's the Pro version, the Turbo version, and indeed the Cloud version, are able to collect data. And you're able to also use externally collected data to trigger Dux-Soup actions. Now, while I'm presenting and talking, as Joe's mentioned, get your questions in. She'll answer those that she can, and I will try and answer as many at the end as well, in case there's some useful stuff for everybody. And because the question may have been asked before some people joined, welcome any latecomers. The webinar is being recorded and it will be made available to you in the coming hours. The real mix today of slides and demo. There's quite a lot to get through. Want to have time for Q&A, so let's crack on very briefly. And I always start with this slide, just for anybody who's new. What is Dux-Soup? If you're new to it, Dux-Soup is a Chrome extension which allows you to automate lead gen activities in LinkedIn. Does this by mimicking human behavior on the platform, gives you the possibility to harness the power of LinkedIn by automating actions such as auto-visiting profiles, sending connection requests, in-mails, endorsing skills, etc., etc. And I thought at the bottom of that slide there's a link, but maybe there's a link already in the app, sort of, which goes takes you to the pricing page, so you can see the price points of each of the 3 versions. Okay, so why would you be interested in data? If you're working in digital marketing or lead generation, my question is, why wouldn't you be interested? Essentially, the data gives you the power to make better decisions and therefore improve your chances of achieving the desired outcome. If you're leading any sort of lead gen activity, be that for clients or internally within your organization, and not making use of data in some way, you're probably giving your competitors a little bit of an advantage. Making use of the data can help us with targeting. It can help us, as well as Dux-Soup, using Dux-Soup to gather data. There are so many useful tools around the lead gen space that can furnish us maybe with supplementary data, supplementary information to help us target accurately. But targeting accurately, we can be more efficient. So gone are the days, what is it, 4 or 5 years ago, when you could send hundreds of connections a day, connection requests a day. You had this sort of scattergun approach, and it didn't matter your numbers, because as long as you got a certain number, then it was fine, and that was all good. Times we live in now, better targeting with reduced connection request numbers will help you drive to be more efficient and ultimately achieve better results and better quality results. By using data that we gather, we can be more specific in our outreach as well, and this can then help us to appear to be more personalized in our targeting. So, for example, if you're using Dux-Soup Turbo or Dux-Soup Cloud, you could build separate campaigns based on geographical search results, for example, and then you can mention the geography within your campaign messaging. And then finally, by making use of data, we actually can measure things. If we don't use data, we can't measure. We therefore can't track our performance. Ultimately, if we're tracking our results, that will help us to improve benchmarking, learning, and adapting accordingly. Let's head over to the next slide, please. So yeah, all paid versions can gather the data. So just to summarize here, we've got Pro and Turbo. You've got two options here. And I'll show you this when I come onto the demo bit in a bit, but within Pro and Turbo, you can gather data within your browser. Dux-Soup can have the visit data, the profiles you're visiting, all of that publicly visible data can be cached within your browser, and there's a download data button available. If you're using either Turbo or Cloud, you have the opportunity also to use the Contacts option. This is a new button which has been there about 6 weeks now, I reckon. It's within the Dux Dash, and you can download publicly visible data for all of the profiles that you're putting into your campaigns. You can do that in your Dux Dash, or indeed you can handle your data via the integrations, or indeed via the API. Little bonus as well, and it's just about finished, but we're going to tell you about it anyway, because if you go hunting on our support pages, you'll see it. We've got a Google Sheets integration as well, which can automatically deliver the profile visit data that you're gathering into a predefined Google Sheet. So we are going to cover all of this in the in the live demo bit in a bit, but just here, there's a few links here which I think you'll find useful. So when it comes to downloading data from Pro or Turbo, you would be using the data download button. And there's an article here, a really great article from our support pages, which explains the difference between scanning a list and visiting profiles. Now, if we're looking at a search result, for example, on LinkedIn or Sales Navigator, or indeed LinkedIn Recruiter, because Dux-Soup is pretty much the only lead generation automation tool on LinkedIn that you will find that works with LinkedIn Recruiter. If you're scanning a list, Dux-Soup will just deliver you the high-level data of that scan of that search result. It's not going to give you the detailed information against each profile, but it will give you the high-level information, the name, the URL, the job title. If you visit a profile, Dux-Soup can then see all of the profile data. So that's one of the big differences there. Of course, visiting profiles takes a lot longer than it does to scan, but you know, sometimes scanning gives you enough to make informed decisions. Via the Dux Dash, the contacts button, we'll show you that in a bit as well. Again, a really great article here being put together by our support team, going through how that works and how you can then define your requirements within that particular option. Via our integrations, we've got a raft of direct integrations built with a number of platforms, various CRMs, etc., or indeed via the API. We do also have integrations with Make and Zapier, and I will show you a little Make integration, a very simple one, a little later on as well. We're talking here all about the data that Dux-Soup can gather when it's visiting profiles or when we're scanning profiles in LinkedIn. But there are other bits of data that we can come on to. So we're going to look through this checklist now, and hopefully, if I share my screen, the magic should happen. Let me make sure I select the correct screen. I don't want to share that one. Let's share that one. Fingers crossed, you can now see my screen. Is that working, Joe?
It is. Now I can see it in the media player. Yeah, that's working perfectly.
Awesome, great. So, anybody who's new to these webinars, please feel free to send me a connection request. I always say this, and we haven't done one of these for a while, so maybe I'll get a few new connections. This is me on LinkedIn. Look me up. Look me up against Dux-Soup or my name. You'll find me. Happy to connect with any people who are interested in lead generation, in LinkedIn, in using Dux-Soup, etc., etc. So ping me a connection request, but mention Dux-Soup in your connection request message, because then I know how you found me. So that's number one. Right. So here we are. I am actually here in a cloud account. So we're actually not going to use this one to start with. What we're going to do is we're going to start with a different account, because then I can show you how we can export data manually. So I'm going to go to a Pro account, which hopefully this account here, oh, it's a Turbo account, doesn't matter. This is fine. So what we'll see here, I've got my Dux-Soup extension installed here up in the top right-hand corner. This is Turbo, and it looks very similar if you've got Pro as well. And you'll see here, I've got this 19 profiles recorded. Now, in order for Dux-Soup to collect data locally within our browser, there's one thing that we need to do within our Dux-Soup options. Now, if we go into our Dux-Soup options, and you may not have all of these options, so we're going to change this to a regular, so that in case you've first installed Dux-Soup and you're thinking, well, I don't see all of those options, I don't understand. This is how it looks when you first install Dux-Soup. If you want to enable data collection within your browser cache, what we need to do is revert to the expert license key, expert user type, I should say. And then within the browser options here, make sure we're checking this box here, record profile data. Dux-Soup will then be able to gather profile data within the browser for you. Brilliant. And what we can then do, if we go over to here, we'll see here that I have visited a few profiles, and we can see here I have got 19 profiles recorded. And if I go over to the right-hand side here, this is the same in Pro and Turbo, remember. I have a download data button. If I click on the download data button, we can see here, I've got the option to include skills, positions, schools in blah, 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 blah there. If I hit the visit data button there, that has now created a CSV file with the data around all of those 19 people that I have visited in the recent past. So let's have a look and see how that data would look. Hopefully you can now see the spreadsheet. It's probably fairly small, so let's try and zoom in a little bit. And also bear in mind here, I'm trying to keep people's personal data not slightly hidden from everybody. I don't want to give away email addresses and contact details for people. But what we can see here within visit data, so this is what Dux-Soup is gathering for us during auto visits. It's gathering LinkedIn ID, brilliant. LinkedIn ID we use in our integrations to use a unique identifier for each Dux-Soup for each LinkedIn record that Dux-Soup is finding. We've got the visit time, we've got the various URLs, the LinkedIn URL, the sales profile, sales navigator URL, recruiter profile, etc., etc. We have got the degree of connectivity, names, the number of connections that the individual has at the moment that I visited them, their summary. This is really, really powerful. Using that summary data is becoming incredibly useful for people who are, for example, using large language models to create maybe semi-automated content or messaging. We've got job titles, how long they've worked, where they've worked, job company information, emails if visible, phone numbers, Twitter, location, industry tags. And if I keep going to the right, I will probably run out of spreadsheet because people put a lot of skills, a lot of job history, and a lot of education in here. So all of this data Dux-Soup can gather for us just whenever we're visiting a profile. And that could be when we're visiting a profile in a campaign, or if we're using Pro, just doing some auto visits, or indeed if we're sending connection requests, because every action Dux-Soup performs, it has to open a profile or visit a profile. A wealth of information, a wealth of data here is available, and that is so useful. So that's the way I would do that if I was using Pro. If I was using with Turbo, depending on how much data, I may use this way. However, if you're using Dux-Soup Turbo or Dux-Soup Cloud, and I'm going to switch back to a cloud account now. There we go. We'll go back into my cloud account. If we go to our Dux Dash, we're going to click on our extension icon and go down to the Dux Dash here. Make sure it all loads properly. There we go. On the left-hand side, for those who are paying attention, yeah, about 6, maybe 8 weeks ago, this contacts button appeared. Now, it hadn't been there before because it's a new feature. If we press the contacts button, we can now go in and per campaign, so all of my different campaigns here, per campaign and per degree level, as in connection level, I can now similarly create and export the data to a CSV file. We would be able to go in here and gather all of that information against any campaign, so we can do this really quickly, really efficiently. There is one slight difference to what we saw just now. There's a little less data available here. So this data here is what the Dux Contacts is giving us. But this is usually enough for most people. So again, we've got the ID, brilliant, that unique identifier, timestamp, the various URLs, degree, names, number of connections, that summary section again, brilliant. That's so useful, especially if you want to do something else with this data, maybe using keyword searches, job title, company information, company website, personal website, email, phone, Twitter, location, industry, and whatever campaign you put them into, the information that Dux-Soup is adding. So these tags, these are automatically put in there as well. So if you download per campaign, you will see the Dux-Soup information here according to whichever campaigns people have gone into. So useful, so powerful. To be able to just leave a campaign to run, you get to the end of the campaign and say, right, I want all that information around those people that have gone in there. Brilliant, you can do that there. This level of data is good enough probably for 98% of applications for people. Don't necessarily need skills, job history, and education. So that's why that's not here as well. So that's the contacts page. Really, really powerful, really, really good. And the next one on our list is the Google Sheets integration. Google Sheets integration is super, super handy. What I'm going to do, what I want to do is I'm just going to go to our support pages and show you here. If you go to our support pages and you go to the integrations, down here you'll see the Google Sheets documentation around how you can set it up, how to install it, etc., etc. And what we can do here, I've set it up already, Dux to Google Sheets integration. And what we'll see here is, again, visit data just automatically being pumped into a Google Sheet. If we've got time later, maybe I'll actually show you how to set this up. But you can see here, this is literally just gathering data for me, literally live. I think some of this came from earlier today. Yeah, this was earlier this morning. All of this is just being populated automatically as Dux-Soup visits profiles on my behalf. Really powerful, really useful. And yeah, you can then build your own automations from there and decide how you want to handle those going forward. Just flicking back slightly in time to what I said earlier about scanning lists. Remember we talked about visits and scans. Visit data, yeah, we talked about the extensive data set we can get Dux-Soup to collect here. If we go to a scan list, let me just show you how we would scan a list. If we just go into LinkedIn, for example, and we go to, I don't know, this one here, we've got here a list of people who've reacted to a post. Up in the top right-hand corner, Dux-Soup at your service. Scanning works with all versions of Dux-Soup, Pro, Turbo, and Cloud. If I click up here and I press Scan Profiles, Dux-Soup will start at the top of the list and it's going to scan, give me that high-level data. There are a few differences whether I scan a list here in a reaction or a search result or a sales navigator or recruiter list. Again, there's a link that I shared with Jo in preparation for the webinar. Hopefully she can share that one, which sort of breaks down the data set you get with each version. But if we now go back to our spreadsheets here and we look at the scan data, we'll see here, this is the sort of information we get when we scan, for example, a sales navigator list. So here I've got the ID, the scan time, URLs, first name, middle name, last name, job title, industry, and company information. Again, that's usually enough information to be able to make an informed decision as to what we're going to do next. So yeah, that's how that works. I just saw a question from Tigran, I think it is Tigran. When I check my account, I can only download a CSV file, not an Excel. What we'll do in a bit during the Q&A, perhaps towards the end, is show you how you can import a CSV file into Excel. Actually, what I did was I set up CSV files so they open in Google Sheets automatically, but you can do that in Excel as well. But we'll cover that towards the end, because CSV files, comma-separated variable files, are often a little bit difficult to handle. You just need to set things up so that you're handling them correctly. Right. So we've talked here about all the different things that the contacts, scanning, visits. Now talk about the funnel flow. If you are a Dux-Soup Turbo or Cloud user, and let's go to my Cloud account here. If we're a Cloud user and we have, for example, all of our different drip campaigns running, and we've got here our funnel flow. The funnel flow is where we can go, of course, to check out the performance of all of our campaigns. So we can go in here and we can say, all right, let's have a look here. Let's see how that information is looking. Let's wait for this one to load. My tried and tested testing campaign. There we go. I've got enrolled, invited, accepted, all of this here. Over on the right here, I have got some buttons to copy all or to copy one section of this. This doesn't give us very much data, but again, it can be quite useful. If we go back to our spreadsheet here and we look at the copied from funnel flow, this is the information we get here. Again, we get the ID, we get first name, last name, we get the LinkedIn URL, job title, company information, and then the latest status within our funnel. So you'll see here that these items here, we have taken them on a journey through our campaign. We have gone through, we look here at the top, we've gone through enrolled. We have then gone through invited. They've then been accepted, and this person got qualified in. If I scroll further down this list, I will find some people who maybe, let's try here, enrolled, invited, and accepted. And if I go further down, I will find people here, for example, who have been enrolled and invited, but they never accepted. Okay, so that then poses a question. What can we do with these people? So these people have been in a campaign, they've been enrolled into that campaign, they got invited, but they never accepted. So they are not they are not first degree connections. Now, you can get Dux-Soup to auto withdraw invites after a period of time, and I'm sure we can share the article, or the Dux-Soup support article on that with you in due course. But what you could do then from here, because we have this campaign status available to us here, we have to withdraw an invite and then wait a certain number of weeks, of course. But what we can then do is we could go to this column here, we could select a bunch of our LinkedIn URLs. Again, we're making use of the data that Dux-Soup's giving us. It's the LinkedIn data and it's the campaign status. What I can do now is I could copy these LinkedIn URLs and I could go back to my campaign. Where's my campaign? Here we go. We can go back into our funnel flow and I can now enroll these people into a new campaign. So if I've got another campaign prepared, I paste those LinkedIn URLs in here and I could then, for example, put them into another campaign. Just put to an auto visit campaign. You see how quickly this goes. We can then make use of that visit data, the Dux-Soup data around the campaign. Great, we can now retarget for these people. Remember, of course, we do need to withdraw those invites and we need to wait at least 3 weeks before re-inviting them. But it's a brilliant tool for being able to say, right, how can we do that? Additionally, we can use external data sources. So if we're using maybe one of many tools where you can harness the power of all sorts of different platforms and gather LinkedIn URLs, again, you can just copy and paste LinkedIn URLs into here. You can even upload your own CSV files. And if we click here on the enroll from file, go and find a LinkedIn, go and find a CSV file. There we go. I've got 15 profiles there. Again, I can just put those straight into a campaign. Great way to retarget people. Great way to get Dux-Soup to handle that sort of information. So lots of people use other platforms to gather LinkedIn URL data. So make use of that. Then create your CSV file or bulk copy and paste those LinkedIn URLs, and you can just place people into campaigns really quickly. Now, that's great if you're using Turbo and Cloud, but what if I'm a pro user? I've got a list of CSV, I've got a CSV file with LinkedIn URLs. What can I do with that? Well, it's lucky that you asked, because hopefully we can now show you how to do that. Let's pop back to our Turbo account here, because we can do the same here in Turbo. What we have in both Pro and Turbo, we have here a revisit data button. Some people aren't aware of this one. Some people love it. Some people use it loads. But if we're using Pro, of course, Dux-Soup is running against a list of data we define. If I click on my revisit data button here, I can now upload my CSV file. Now, there's some instructions on our support pages as to what data needs to be in that profile, in that CSV file. But again, if we go to, there we go. Well, let's just take that list of however many profiles we had just now. There we are. There's here a list of 19 URLs. I've now got my list of the LinkedIn URLs. I've got the first name and the last name. And in a moment, our little Dux-Soup extension icon will turn green, and I can then run Dux-Soup Pro from here. Fantastic. Another great way to retarget people, even if we're using the Pro version and we just have LinkedIn URLs that we can use. Super powerful, super quick, and really, really handy. There are, our icons now turn green, so I can do my visit and connect, etc., according to whatever we're using Dux-Soup Pro for. Integrations then. So by way of an example here, what I've done here is I've actually built a very quick scenario in make.com. So we have integrations with Zapier, we have integrations with make.com, and we have our CRM integrations as well, of course. But here within Make, I built a very quick scenario here where I'm just literally getting Dux-Soup to watch for visit events. I've not put any filtering on it. And then every visit that occurs here in Google Sheets, Dux-Soup is then creating a row, and I'm just mapped the data from the watch event into there. And what we'll see here, my next tab here in my never-ending spreadsheet, we'll see here, these here have been brought in by Dux-Soup through that integration. Again, I've just defined my column headings along the top here, and we can see here the data that's come in accordingly. Almost exactly the same as our contacts list, but again, I don't have to do anything other than set it up following the instructions that we have here in our integrations page, our make integrations, or Zapier if you prefer Zapier, depending on what your preferred choice of poison may be. Yeah, absolutely superb technology, which allows us to really build out these scenarios. Now, this here is an incredibly simple scenario. But if you were wanting, for example, to build something along the lines of visiting a bunch of profiles, gathering data, so we're then populating our spreadsheet here, and then maybe we're making use of this summary information. So we've got somebody here who's working in operational efficiency, AI integration, blah, 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 blah. Great. We could then, for example, plug that summary into an AI tool to then create some sort of message sequence. And we could build all of that in here. So we could then add our, okay, when a line appears, analyze this, blah, 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 create a message, and then send a message back to a LinkedIn URL or a connection request or an email, whatever it may be. We're now using the data that's coming out of LinkedIn, Dux-Soup's putting it into a place where it can be managed, in this case, a Google Sheet. We're then using other tools to further add information maybe, or improve the quality of that information. And then we are then maybe enrolling people into a campaign that we've predefined, or maybe even here within Make or Zapier, extending that message sequence out, depending upon maybe the connectivity level of those particular connections. So that's integrations, external data sources. Oh yeah, that's the other thing I was going to mention as well, and let's hope that I've managed to set this one up, because I've migrated some data across earlier today. Back into Cloud and Turbo. So again, we're now back in our Dux Dash. Remember, of course, we do have our app connections. Now, these are the integrations that we have built already, and we've got these integrations built. So we've got Slack, Salesforce, HubSpot, Pipedrive, Fresh Sales, and SharpSpring. If you've got to mention one, you've got to mention them all, haven't you? You don't want to leave anybody out. Here we can follow our predefined integrations that we've set up here, and you can get data automatically pumped through to your CRM of choice. You can define which profiles make it into your CRM, and you can also set it up so that anybody who connects with you will automatically get added, and that message exchanges will also be able to be visible in there. Now, with a little bit of luck, let's see. I had a feeling that might happen. Maybe during the Q&A, I'll try and log on to Pipedrive and see if I can get that one access. Oh, maybe I can do it here. Maybe I can do it in my other browser. Let's try it. You never know, it might work. There we go, it did. So we can see here, we've got here one of my colleagues. So this is Heidi. We can see here Dux-Soup has brought across the first degree connection. It's brought across various different Dux-Soup tags, so I can see which campaign she's in. I can see the organization she works for, etc., etc. And this information has been brought across by Dux-Soup, so the LinkedIn title, the ID, etc., etc. Once this is in here, brilliant. What we can then do, we can actually even trigger actions from within our CRM as well. So the Dux-Soup CRMs, and we've talked about these in other webinars as well, are kind of two-way with our CRMs. So you've got data coming into the CRM, but then also the possibility to trigger actions either individually or indeed in bulk by doing a multi-select from a list of contacts within your CRM. Dux-Soup will only be creating people or contacts within your CRM. It doesn't create leads, it doesn't create deals or anything like that. It's purely bringing in contacts and, where appropriate, the organizations associated with those contacts. Some people even extend these integrations to maybe bring in additional information, maybe using Zapier and things like that. So yeah, there are lots and lots of possibilities, and on all of our CRM integrations, the Salesforce, Pipedrive, HubSpot, etc., are designed in approximately the same way, just with different levels of terminology relating to that particular platform. Now, I think that was everything I was going to share with regards to the presentation. So what we're going to do now is just talk about here, recap some of the things that we've talked about. Visit data. So what data is Dux-Soup gathering? It's gathering publicly visible profile data. Nothing more, nothing less, just the data that you can see on your screen. It's just presenting that to you in a really easily digestible and a way that can be organized and easily sorted. Messaging. Dux-Soup is gathering messaging data for you. If you're using Turbo or Cloud, it can bring those messages across again via the API or through the CRM integrations. Slightly aside as well, through our Slack integration, you could have, for example, conversations appearing in a Slack channel if you wanted to, and then actually within Slack, you can even action things from there. Dux-Soup data, so the activity tags where you are within a campaign can be so powerful for deciding what happens next or how you can then turn things around and follow up with people. And campaign performance data. So yeah, that funnel flow, we can take the funnel flow, we can then see exactly how things are going and bring that into a spreadsheet, maybe even building your own dashboard, depending again what your requirements are. One thing I just thought of, you can even create campaigns to potentially blacklist profiles. So I do have an example somewhere, but you could create just a visit campaign to visit profiles, add a tag to them to blacklist them, and then you can make sure that they're excluded from any future campaigns. It's a great way of making sure you're not reaching out to the incorrect people. Maybe those people are already your customers, maybe your family members who you're connected to on LinkedIn and things like that as well. External data, we've talked about this as well. You can use other data sources to trigger actions in all versions of Dux-Soup. So if you're using Turbo and Cloud, we can upload those lists via the funnel flow, either uploading a list or copying and pasting those URLs. With the Pro version, of course, we're using the revisit button there. And there's a bit more detail on that within our support pages as well. What are you going to do with your data? So this is, of course, down to you, down to your process, down to your requirements. Maybe you're going to add supplementary data to your CRM. Maybe you're using another lead gen tool to gather LinkedIn data, and then you're making use of perhaps the workflows within Make or Zapier. You're then going to come up with some amazing reports to produce to your superiors or to your clients, depending on what accounts you're managing. Then you can use your data and your performance information to review and improve your processes. The possibilities, as I said at the beginning, are almost endless if you harness data in the right way. Now, I speak to many people and I say, are you interested in gathering data with Dux-Soup performing this? You'd be amazed. The number of people say, no, not interested at all. No, not interested. Just want Dux-Soup to do its thing. I always find that slightly baffling because the more data you've got, the more informed you can be in deciding how to go forward and deciding what's working and what's not. I've probably talked for long enough. Joe, should we open the floor to questions?
Sure, why not? Mike Hansen says, what's your favorite cheese? For those that missed it at the beginning, that was Giles' prediction. Do you have a favorite cheese, Giles? Don't think about it.
I suppose living in the Netherlands, I suppose it should be a Dutch cheese, but actually I really like Applewood cheese. And I could only get that in the supermarket in the UK, but it's a long time since I've had that because I've been away a long time.
Right, on to the serious things. I'm using Dux-Soup. This is also Mike, actually. I'm using Dux-Soup for LinkedIn and also cold email. What third-party software is best to extrapolate personal emails at scale affordably? And then with a little comment that said, please don't say Clay. Don't know if you've got any thoughts or insight on that, Giles.
Personal emails, you can get Dux-Soup to gather personal email addresses for you from non-connected profiles. Is there an easy way to share links on this, Joe? Because what I can do is I can just put the support article. I'll send it to you on Slack and you can forward it on.
Send it to me and I'll send it over. Yeah, let's do it that way.
You need Dux-Soup points to do that. Yeah, there are lots of different ways of doing that. It's actually probably a really good question to forward over to Scott, who's not with us today. But he'll be, yeah, it might be worth getting Scott's input on that one, because I know he's got perhaps some other ideas in that area. So yeah, maybe we could remember that article, that one, and forward that question on to Scott for an answer.
Yeah, we'll do. I know that we've also internally used Apollo before, but that's not me personally, so I can't speak to it necessarily.
And Apollo is often used by users to gather LinkedIn URLs and then upload CSV files. Yeah.
Okay. Next one, this was early on. John asked, how many can you download at once? Now, this was right at the start of your demo.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, let me just share my screen, because that's probably going to be the best way of doing that. Got to be try and remember where I've got to share things from. There we go. Is my screen visible?
Yes, I can see glasses.
Cool. All right, yeah, so you can see, yeah, that's it. So you can see here I've got 19 at the moment, profiles recorded. So if you're downloading data from within your browser cache, I would recommend, if this number gets up to sort of 5,000, I would recommend downloading it and pressing the clear data button here, because it will start to slow down your browser. But there is no theoretical limit on that number. It's just a case of however much is cached within your browser. I say when it gets to sort of about 5,000, I tend to notice that it slows things down a bit. And also, the bigger the number, the more the data, the greater the risk of a little bit of corruption there with Chrome's inefficiency, shall we say? I'm trying to put it politically correctly there. And again, within the Dux Dash, again, there's no theoretical limit. It's just a case of how many profiles there are recorded there.
Fabulous, thank you very much. Now, apologies on the pronunciation of this. I'm going to say it's tertius, but it could be quite literally tertius, I'm not sure. For the email to be recovered from visiting profiles, is it limited to the connection degree of the profile?
It's limited to what Dux-Soup can see. Now, if you're visiting first degree connections, you are going to see, and it's very difficult because I have sort of finger in the air, between 85 and 95% of emails, because people make their email addresses visible to first degree connections. If it's non-first degree, then you will see between 5 and 15% of email addresses. What I'm going to do is actually go to our Dux-Soup pages and go to our blogs. And if we go in here and you type email, where is it? Somewhere here. How to get emails from LinkedIn. That was the one I was going to share. That's the other one that needs to go through, because you can get Dux-Soup to do a lookup to see if we have an email address against the profile, and that costs you Dux-Soup points. But that article there takes you through how to do that. So yeah, if you're visiting second and third degree connections and using Dux-Soup points, then you'll see a reasonable number of email addresses. It just depends whether we've seen the email address for that person before.
Yeah. Okay. Mike, I've just sent you that one as well.
Perfect. Thanks, Joe.
No problem. And the same person, I'm going to go with tertius. Let me know if it's wrong, please. Is it possible to add a list of profiles to be visited using Dux-Soup's API endpoints?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, we're going to disappear down a rabbit hole here, but that's fine, isn't it? We don't mind rabbit holes. Only 45 minutes in, that's relatively early. Best way to look at this is to actually look here at the Dux-Soup API documentation. If you go into the Dux-Soup API here, so again, I'm just going to put this link into the thing so you can share it. If you scroll down the bottom here, you will find here that you can actually test API calls, and you can here visit profiles. You can add the link, add the target URLs here, and you can generate the command or execute the call, etc., etc. So you can actually see how that's going to work, and then make use of that from there. But yeah, you can also trigger actions from within Make. So if I go into Make, I could go in here and I could say, yeah, within Dux-Soup, I now want to visit a profile. Do the same in Zapier, exactly the same thing. As long as you've got that LinkedIn URL, absolutely yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. Next one is, Stefan said, is Zoho on your roadmap, or may we define our own two-way API?
These are always very loaded questions, and I'm always have to be very careful with my answers.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd love to integrate with everything immediately. It's just a case of what is the priority. I know Zoho is on our radar, but so are other platforms such as Go High Level and a few others as well. I don't know what the next one will be, but hopefully we'll get an indication in the next month or so, certainly before the end of the year, what the next integration will be. Fingers crossed is all I'll say.
Yeah, okay, cool. Tigran has asked, is it possible to exclude, for instance, a certain group of people that I have in my HubSpot CRM from any funnel?
Does
that make sense?
Yes. So if they're in your HubSpot, how would you work? Yeah. So I assume that you've therefore brought them in through Dux-Soup. They've already got the LinkedIn URLs. So you could, for example, take those LinkedIn URLs and enroll those people into a blacklisting campaign. So, for example,
we've got an article on blacklisting, haven't we? I'll find it while you're talking.
Yes. So here, for example, in my drip campaigns, we'll see here somewhere. There we are, blacklisted. Just to blacklist profiles, I make sure that I tag profiles with this ID when I enroll them into this campaign. Once they've got the blacklisted tag, they won't be touched with any automation by Dux-Soup again. And that's the easiest way to do it.
To date. Sorry, there we go. Copied that, paste that. I am coming back, I promise. Here we go. Tigran, I've just sent you the link literally with no airs and graces around it. Poppy has asked, I've started my campaigns, starting the flow with a visit. However, I don't have anyone within my contacts tab on the Dux Dash. I have a cloud account. What would you advise?
Okay, so if you've got a cloud account and you have started your campaign, as the visits happen, Dux-Soup is then gathering the data. So what I would recommend you do here, a couple of things. If you've got a cloud account, first of all, check to make sure your cloud account is ready and active. Second of all, make sure that you have the planner enabled for the appropriate time zone that you are in so that Dux-Soup is able to run at those times. And then thirdly, go over to the left-hand side and have a look at the queue. Are there items in your queue? Because these are the items that these are the commands that Dux-Soup is going to be performing. And then here under the activity log, you should be able to see, okay, what actions have happened. So if we take here, for example, if I look at this campaign here, Peter demo campaign that I've got here, if I go to my contacts, go here and we'll go down to Peter demo campaign, what we should see is, there we are, there's Rob and all those people that it's visited so far. There's only 11 people gone in there. As it's visiting, as it's taking that first step of the campaign, that's when it's gathering all of that profile data for you. So it may be just a case of a little bit of patience, let Dux-Soup do its thing. There's a few things to check, and if it's still not working, then just reach out to our support team and they can assist you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Chris, in fact, I've had a couple of people who've talked about Done For You. Chris says, I'm too busy working for my clients. I'm interested in outsourcing my marketing to someone you recommend. I'd be happy to take your recommendations for anyone who provides this service. So we do have a list of Done For You agents. So Chris, I'll come back to you probably after the session because I need to find where it is. But I'll come back to you with the list of the Done For You agencies, and then we can have a chat if you need any more.
But Jo, whenever I need that list, I just ask you and you've got it. So, you know.
I know, this is very true.
It's a fabulous marketing team that keep that list up to date with the various. And we've got people. We've got agencies all over the world. Depending on where you're based, we can point you in the right direction. I mean, it's fairly geographically agnostic sort of service, but those were two very long words for this time of day. But yeah, we do have a tried and trusted group of providers there.
Yeah. Tigran has asked, now I don't know when this was asked, but the question is, the recording is shown, is that available in Turbo? And I suspect that's about whether you're using Cloud or Turbo to show the data capture.
I didn't catch the question. Sorry, Joe.
The recording as shown, is that available in Turbo? So which profile have you been using? Have you been using Cloud or Turbo?
Oh, yeah. So within Turbo, within Cloud you can't do it, but within Turbo, let's go back here, Dux-Soup options. There we are. I think it's this one here. Yeah. So this record profile data is available in both Turbo and Pro.
And Pro. Okay, lovely.
I think that's the question that he was asking. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me know if not, Tigran. Tigran's also asked, is it possible to enrich data that's already in HubSpot with mail addresses found on LinkedIn via the tool? So via Dux-Soup, I guess.
Yes, so Dux-Soup will bring in data into your CRM through our integration. It may create duplicates because what we want to try and minimize the risk of is overwriting your existing data. And remember what I said earlier, Dux-Soup uses this LinkedIn ID as an identifier to make sure it's looking, it's got a unique identifier there, because not every, this one has got an email address. There we go. This one has got an email address. Not every account, not every Dux-Soup, not every profile that you bring from LinkedIn has an email address. Normally, CRMs use the email address as the identifier. So what we do is when we bring the data across, we're using the LinkedIn ID. So when you do it, you may well find some duplication of data. You just need to merge those records accordingly. But yeah, it's usually a fairly straightforward process.
Okay, thank you.
While we're on that one, can I just answer the question that Tigran had earlier about CSV files?
Yes,
I think it was Tigran.
Go ahead.
So if you've got a CSV file, so I think the question was, I've got CSV files, I can't use them in Excel. The easiest way, and you can set up this to do this automatically, or you can even set up CSV files to open automatically in Google Sheets. But if you've got a CSV file, the best thing to do is when you've got Excel open, go to the data button. Over here on the left-hand side, you see there's from text/CSV. We can go over here. And this always takes longer when I'm demoing. When I do it, it's almost instantaneous. So now we'll go to our downloads. So we'll take, for example, I don't know, my scan data here from yesterday. If I now just import this data, what will happen is Excel will recognize that this is a comma-separated values file. And here we go. I can define the delimiter in this way. So it's always a comma. So there we are. Based on the first 200 rows, I can use UTF-8 encoding. And there I have now imported or created my CSV file, which is properly readable within Excel. I think there's an article in our support pages around that one, but I can't be sure. It's a while ago since I've looked there, but that's the easiest way to import it. Data from CSV and do it that way. And then you can save it whatever you like. You can still save it as a CSV file, so you can still re-import it into Dux-Soup. But that was a question that I know that Tigran had. I'm sure it was Tigran that had that one earlier.
Yeah, okay. There's a couple of other people who've come through about recommended done-for-you agencies. What I'll do is, so after this session, you will be sent an email with the link to the on-demand recording. And within that email, I'll add the list of the done-for-you agencies, so you can all have it anyway. That's probably the easiest way of doing it. So keep a lookout for that. Right, let me go back. That was Chris, that was Keith. That one we've done. That one we've done. Tertius, yes, I am pronouncing it right. Yes, thank you. Right, this is another API question, and I'm sorry, Giles, but I'm fairly clueless when it comes to API questions. Is the API key together with the XDux signature required when authenticating API calls?
Yes.
Excellent. It almost makes it sound like the was easy.
And you can find your credentials under here. If you go into your Dux-Soup options in any version of Turbo or Cloud, you can see here your user ID, your client ID here. Those are your credentials. They're also here actually, down here under your remote control credentials here, your remote control URL. authentication key there as well. So yeah, but yeah, have a look at the documentation. If you've got further questions, then ping a message to our support team, because our head of customer support, Vlada, is an absolute whiz with the API. She will be on any questions you have immediately.
She will. She loves it.
She does.
She does. Poppy says, thank you, Poppy. You're more than welcome. Angela would like the agencies. Yes, fabulous. I'll get that to you. Keith is located in Dallas. Excellent. Yes, I think Keith and I have been chatting. I think Scott will probably be a good fit for you to have a chat with. Chris says, thank you. No problem. John, when I use LinkedIn search and try to enroll the results of that search, I only get 10 enrolled.
Okay. Is that within, oh yeah, okay, he's not gonna be able to answer that maybe, but is that within LinkedIn or Sales Navigator? Because what should happen if we go into, I don't know, let's go into a list in LinkedIn, in regular LinkedIn, let's just do a really imaginative search for CEOs. There we go. So what we have here, we have a quick and dirty list of people that we may want to put into a campaign. And please talk amongst yourselves whilst the Dux-Soup icon decides to turn green. It always takes longer while I'm presenting. So yeah, it's one of those things. Always takes longer. Zoom slows it down, but it turns out that On24 does as well. So there we are, Dux-Soup at your service. Remember, with a search result, there's two ways of enrolling. First of all, from our sidebar, we can choose our campaign and enroll people individually. Great. But here we can see this list is at least, well, it's 100 pages long, so it's 1,000 people on this list. If we now go up here and we press enroll profiles, we should be able to choose whichever campaign we want and then just put in however many people we want to put in there. So for example, I could go in here and put 1,000 people, and Dux-Soup should start at the top of the list and enroll the first 1,000 people that have not gone into this campaign before. So it won't duplicate effort. If I went in here, for example, put 50 in there, it should automatically scroll through 5 pages of data here and enroll them into the campaign. If it's not doing that, I see, yeah, John's using LinkedIn. If it's not doing that, John, please send an email to info@dux-soup.com and we can have a look and see if there's something going on. Because we do know that LinkedIn are playing around with their platform, as is their want and as is their right, of course. So yeah, there are sometimes some little hiccups, which maybe means that Dux-Soup doesn't scroll through. Tell you what, I'm going to turn this one on and we'll leave it to run through here so we can actually see this happen, because I think that might be quite useful to do. Again, this is going to take a few seconds because I am running it fairly slowly. Yeah.
Okie doke.
Again, please talk amongst yourselves whilst it does this, but it should automatically scroll to the next page. And if it's not doing that, then we need to have a look from our page on.
John says, thank you.
You are welcome.
Keith would like to schedule a call with Scott, which takes me nicely onto, if you go onto our support pages, so if you go onto the Dux-Soup website, there's a link actually in your related content window, which I think is top right on your screen as you're looking at it. I think I've just put duxsoup.com down there. So if you go onto there, and then go to product and then services.
I'm doing it live.
Doing it live. And for those of you who have just asked and I've said, yes, this is the way to do it, get in touch with support. So if you go to one-to-one support services, a support call is absolutely free. That takes you, the request there takes you to the info@dux-soup.com. And that is the support team who will be able to give you a bit of guidance on if there's a glitch anywhere or there's something. They'll spot it immediately and sort it right out for you. If there is more guidance or help needed or there's a problem, then they will help to facilitate working on that. You can also then get hold of Scott, who's over stateside, and Giles, who's in Europe, for booster sessions, which is a bit of kind of one-to-one, more focused training. So you can have some guidance on what it is in particular you're stuck with, or any of the challenges that you're having, or any questions that you just want a bit of a hand-holding through. So do use that facility. So Keith, I don't know, Giles, actually, whether you can request Scott or Giles when you go through those, but presumably you kind of...
It just depends on what time zone fits with our schedule. Just for John's benefit, you see here I enrolled 50. It's now on page 2, and it's just done the second 10. So it's just done 20 here in my browser. So maybe you need to leave it a bit longer, but we can have a look at that if we need to jump on a call. Yeah, hit the support button here, support call button. That will trigger the email appropriately, and then you'll get a Calendly link. And yeah, I'm based in Europe, so I work normal working hours in Europe. I do some evenings as well, but Scott's usually online from sort of about 5 o'clock European time, I guess, because he's based over in San Francisco. So yeah, normal working hours over there.
You can work that. You can work that, Keith, I'm sure. Tertius has asked, this is the last question, unless anyone gets in at the last minute. Are there any other browsers that support Dux-Soup as an extension other than Chrome?
Only Chrome compatible browsers. So again, you can actually go to our support pages. There we go. And if you type in here, I think, other browsers, there we go. You can see here that there are some mentioned here, but any browser that is built on the Chrome base architecture where you can install Chrome extensions, Dux-Soup can work. Now, remember, of course, we do all our primary testing against the Chrome environment, but we do have a lot of people who are using other browsers. I know some people who use Arc, for example. Yeah, other bits and pieces. Yeah, it just depends upon what your preference is, of course.
Yeah, okay. So, Tertius, I've just sent you the support email. I think get in touch with them. He's using DuckDuckGo, but having some issues with getting Dux-Soup, getting access to see some of the bits and pieces that you've shown. So yeah,
understand.
There we go.
Yeah,
Perfecto.
I will stop sharing my screen now.
Yeah, I think I've managed to answer all the others. There's a few of you I'm going to get back to, and I'll pop that done for you link in the email that you'll all get tomorrow. Also, for some of you might come back and say, well, you haven't seen the email. It will get sent to you, but the link that you used to join today actually also works. It's exactly the same link. So feel free to press on it. It won't show the recording until the recording has done all its stuff that it does in the background to make sure that it's ready. So if it's not playing, then it's just because it's not quite ready yet. So just be patient.
Thanks, Keith. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Keith.
Saw his message.
So all that remains really is for me to just remind you, for those that are still here, about the team session. That's on December the 4th. We've got our live event coming up at the Excel in London, 19th and 20th of November. So we're not having a mid-November webinar because you can come and see us in person instead.
How exciting.
So we'll be there. How exciting indeed. We have talked a lot about the support services, so I won't ramble on about those. If you would like to share a review about how amazing Giles is, or how much I waffle on, then please do go to Trustpilot. The link is in the content there on the right-hand side of your screens.
But also how amazing our support team are, and our marketing team, of course.
Yeah. Oh, look, you guys are awesome. Thanks, Giles and Joe. Thank you. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. That's awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. And hopefully we'll see you all back here on the 4th of December.
Excellent. Thanks, everybody. Great to see you all again. And thanks for joining.
Bye-bye. There we go.